Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing well, Steve, thank you.
Good.
How are you doing, though, more importantly, because it's all happening at your end today, isn't it?
Yeah, so we had a really nice bit of news on I don't know, a couple of days ago. Basically, our one of the cats. I don't know if people remember our cat situation where we rescued one cat and then there was another stray in the area that was pregnant. So we took that stray in. They had three kittens. We kept all the kittens. We couldn't get rid of them. We just fell in love with them. And then then we had Elowen, and the mother of the three kittens just couldn't handle it where we were living at the time. It was so busy, a new baby, her three kittens that wouldn't leave her alone. So she found another house a couple doors down that she much preferred to ours. So she found another happy home. So we were happy for her there. And then there was another stray that got hit by a car in our area, and we took him to the vets because we knew a vet, and got him neutered and chipped and everything. And we thought, well, we'll see if he decides to be our cat. He's been a stray for about 4 years, and we thought he's either going to warm to us or not. In the wintertime, he'd be in every other day, but then in the spring and summer, he would be gone for a few weeks at a time. Completely didn't latch onto our house. But when he did come back, even though he'd been neutered, all of the cats in the area still bullied him. Like there were a lot of strays in London where we were, and so he used to get in fights and come back with scratches and cuts on him and stuff. So when we decided to move, which is a good 20 miles away from where we were, weren't sure whether to take him with us, because he knew the area so well, and we didn't want to take him out of that environment. But we decided to try and anyway, because he was getting in fights still, and we thought it would give him a really good opportunity to try and settle down in a bigger house and everything. Anyway, unfortunately, he escaped from our home after a couple of days, and he was just gone, completely gone. Luckily, the area where we live is really good, really cat friendly. A lot of woods, a lot of places to explore. Everyone's really lovely. It's very community like minded. So we thought he would probably be looked after somewhere. Anyway, this was a couple of months ago, because we've been here a couple of months. And then a couple of days ago on our local Facebook group, someone posted a picture of him saying, "Is this anyone's cat?" And turns out he was only a few roads away. Even though we went out looking for him, we would have had to go down the end of our road through the woods and to the right to another street to find him. He wouldn't have come anyway if we'd called him, because he just wasn't obedient at all. Our other cats probably would have done. Anyway, so I went out on the hunt and managed to track him down and bring him back in a cat carrier. So he's upstairs in one of our spare rooms at the moment. Everything he needs, keeping him acclimatized to our house again, and he is very affectionate. I don't know if he's remembered me or anything like that, but he is like a different cat. He is so affectionate. He was quite traumatized at first when he first brought him in, but after a day or so, he was back from hiding underneath the bed and on top of the bed and laying there, and he is so aggressively affectionate towards me. It's crazy. It's such a different environment. He wouldn't really be that affectionate before. So yeah, we're back reunited with him, which is really lovely, and we're very grateful for our people that sort of kept him going, giving him little bits of food, because everyone's nice like that. As long as it's everyone knows that generally the cats belong to someone, so it's not.
No, no,
You can
quite.
tell as well whether a cat is starting to latch onto you or whether a cat is just coming here for a bit of free grub. And he looked grubby, and he looked like he was a stray. And he didn't have a collar on, obviously. That had come off. So, yeah, we had some really nice news. So, the week before and this week were really still really tough, losing our friend. And this week we had a little bit of a nice news to welcome him back. Well, not him. not a
Took
friend,
your
but
mind off it a bit, Steve. You know, I mean, you can never get over grief completely, but it's sometimes if you can set your mind to something else, even if it's only temporary, and then it's a relief, and it's a good thing. I think this was all probably planned out. You know, it's amazing, isn't it, how the universe works? You know, gives you
yeah.
a blow like that, and then suddenly you get that wonderful news. That's a lovely story, and I know we've got an awful lot of cat lovers and animal lovers out there that will warm to that story as we've done. It's
Mm.
wonderful.
So we're hoping that, with this, but certainly with his behaviour so far being so affectionate, that he might stick around this time. We're going to keep him in for as long as we can now, a good while, so that he really adjusts to the house and sees this as home, and somewhere that is where he's looked after and given lots of love. And then, we have the cat flap with his chip. So if he decides to come back, he decides to come back. But we'll give him every opportunity to really adjust to this place and see. So hopefully, hopefully, but it's his decision. Cats will do what they want, as we know. They're
Yeah,
just
very
they're their own
independent.
people, their own individual, independent animals. They'll do what they want. So yeah, there you go. That's my bit of news this week. So last week we were talking about the portrait that you were working on, and we showed those stages step by step. You've finished the picture now, and we're going to go through that, the finishing stages of this picture. We've got quite a few pictures to show you. You managed to take lots as we went through, which was very handy. So I'm going to show. I can't remember actually. Let me find before I do that. Let me find the last stage that we were at last week.
I think the last stage was I showed the eyes, but if you can go the one before that, where the eyes aren't there, then it's going to be more impressive. I think it's up to
Okay,
you.
let's go back, because I can do that now with this very cool feature. This was the second picture you showed us, and that's when the eyes aren't in.
That's right. Well, this was important because I did show the eyes last week. I think and we're going to show them again. But you can, going back to this one, you can see how bare the picture is at this stage, and no eyes, no lips, no hair, but you can still see the how it's going to turn out. And this was at this particular stage, I was very pleased with it. But I was still apprehensive. You always are when you've got a picture like that. I mean, it's such a lovely picture, photograph, that I wanted to do it justice. So it's going to be interesting as we take this next journey, next few pictures that you'll see. So the one with the eyes will be the next one, and it started to come alive, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's bring that one up now. Stage 3. There we go. And
Now
that's
you
the
can see
one.
eyes and lips. Now you can see what a difference those make. And I know a lot of people do the eyes first. I've mentioned this so many times. I don't like to do that. I like to put the setting there, and I find it easier for me to appreciate the picture. The one thing that I did notice last week, and I don't know whether I mentioned it, she's actually looking slightly different. Her eyes are actually focused exactly on us, as
Hmm.
she's where the eyes in the picture she's looking slightly down. So, and this was deliberate. I deliberately changed the pupils. It's the pupils that make the difference. And I deliberately changed the pupils, and I was so pleased that I managed to capture that. I'm looking at us rather than looking slightly to one side.
Hmm.
'Cause that,
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I'm just pulling up the picture as well, just to compare them. But yeah, it's I think yeah, it's still very engaging when you're looking at the eyes. You're still drawn in. It
mm,
doesn't affect anything, is it?
mm.
Does it? Um, Excellent stuff. Well, well, where I'm going. There we go. Let's look at the next stage, which is where you've put in lots more.
Oh, lots more, lots more.
Lots more now. We've got the
I mean,
hair,
this is the
shoulder.
hair. Yeah. So you've got eyes, lips, and hair now, and the beginning of the body. But you can see what a difference even that makes. But I was still a little apprehensive at this stage, and all the time I had in my mind, I've got all those dress folds to sort out, and also the background. The background was always on my mind. You remember what the background did look like? It was very dark. Well, we'll come to that in a minute, but the first and foremost was me. The next thing I needed to do was to put the folds in the dress, and it can be really. I deliberately chose this picture because of that, or one of the reasons, because I wanted to show that and how you can. It's right in the front of the picture. You know, if you get it wrong, that's the picture gone. So
Yeah, it's a real test.
a lot of pressure at this stage on an artist being able to. But what he's got to do as well, he can't make those folds more attractive, if you see what I mean, than the picture. So it's a balancing job, as we'll see on the next one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. At this point, you've got the color of the fabric sorted as well, right? So you're choosing. It's interesting. Before you're not doing the folds first. You're getting the fabric in the top sorted color wise
It's
before you go
also
down to the fold.
absolutely, you're right. It's the relationship between the hair, the skin, the tones, and the dress. All of those have to harmonise. Probably the best word I can describe. You've got to harmonise them. It's slightly bluer than it does end up, as you will see as we go on. But there had to be a difference. But the next one you'll see quite a big difference. And of course, I got the shoulder in. Now, if you look at that shoulder, there's not much in it, is there? It's not like the face where you've got the eyes and the nose and the lips for the contours. Here, you've just got a bit of shoulder sticking out of a dress. And you've got to make that as attractive as you can. And you can see the various shading that I've put in there.
The light spot as well is what really adds that dimension to the shoulder.
That's right. And it will look even more attractive on the next picture when we've got the folds in as well. So I was very mindful of all of these points when I was going through. But having said that, it sounds as though I was struggling. I wasn't really struggling. I never really struggle because I have confidence that I'm going to be able to do it. But apprehension it was there all the time. But I enjoy that. It's something I get a kick out of. If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't be able to produce the pictures that I do. It's got to be there. There's got to be an element of what can I say? Is it going to happen? Am I going to be able to make it work? The more pictures you do, the more confidence you get that you will be able to, because you can pull it out of the hat. But the next picture you see is quite a stunning one because you've got the folds in, and that will make quite a difference to the whole thing.
Just before we show the next one, I want to just talk about the hair and how you've got the waves in the hair. Right, you can really see the kinks, in the front of the front right as we're looking at it, just next to the eye there, and it really does look realistic.
I'm glad
But
you.
when I
Sorry, Steve. I'm glad you pointed that out because there's one thing about that I didn't like too much. It was too smooth. It was as though she'd gone there and smoothed it all down, and it didn't, to me, look quite natural enough. But
really,
yeah, even though it looks good there. You've got the structure is good. It didn't have the life, so I had to breathe life into it. And next couple of pictures, you'll see that.
how big is this picture?
Just it's slightly smaller than A4.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's look at the next stage then. Where's stage 5? No, there it is. And there we can see you've started these folds now.
Yes. Now you've got the half and half. This is lovely because you can see if you put your hand over the area that's not been done, you can then see quite a difference, and that builds up just like that. You start off with the lighter. There's two colours really there on the right hand side of that. That is the 110, which is a very attractive light blue, and the other colour is a Caran d'Ache. Again, it's a mid-tone grey, really, but it's got a kind of bluey hue. Now, those two colours, that's all I use for those at the beginning. And then we 770 was the other colour that we use. All of these colours are in the hair.
Right.
So we have a combination, and they were on the picture, on the original photograph. So it was all very compatible. But you can see those folds.
Very convenient. Isn't it very convenient to have all these colours within the hair, within the clothes, within the background?
Mm. But there is one other thing that I'll point out. At this stage, although I was very pleased with the way those folds are coming up, I was even more mindful of what am I going to do about the background? Because that had to be matching the dress, the skin tones and the hair. So at this stage, I thought, oh gosh. Now I could play safe with this. I could have actually done exactly the same tone that was on the original picture. But you'll see that I didn't do that.
I'm just going to bring up the original picture, just like to break away for a second and just remind everyone of what that, now that we've seen a few more stages, just what the original picture is and that background looks like. Quite a muted grey, like dark bluey grey.
Nice, but safe.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Safe, nice, but safe. And I don't like nice but safe. I like nice but punchy. So I had to do something special. And we'll see that as we progress.
Absolutely. Let's look at, we're stage 6 now, where you've started the background and finished those folds. So let me zoom in a little bit so we can see.
Keep the pencils in view if you can, Steve. That's it, because I'm going to talk about them. This is where the first problem I had in terms of what colour can I use. Now, that colour that you see on the picture is 642 in Carbothello. It wasn't in the picture. I never used it in the picture. This is something that I don't often do. I usually pick it up. Now, if you've seen my pictures before, you know that I start with the light grey. I put a light grey all over, and then I put the colours in. This time, and I can't tell you why, I decided it. I decided to do that 642 first. That colour was put in. You can see how I've outlined just slightly the edge of the skin and the dress. Now, the reason I did that is I wanted to, that's not in the picture, remember. I've not picked a pencil that I've already used. And I thought, is it going to work? Well, when you see that, you think, yes, it is going to work. It looks really attractive. So I decided to do that all over. Now, if you look at the bottom section of that, this is my experimental bit. I always put an experimental bit in, as you know. And what I did there, I put the 642 in, then rubbed it in so it was plain all the way over the picture background. And then I used the 110, which is the light grey, on top of it. Now, that's unusual. You know,
Yeah.
from light to dark grey.
You normally put the 110 on and then the 642.
Now, why didn't I do it? I don't know why I didn't do it. But what I wanted to do was to create the foundation colour, which is that 642, as a base. That had to be there. Everything else I put on top, and I didn't know it was going to work. But as you can see, it's going to work brilliantly. So I actually put that on, the 110 on top, rubbed that in. So we had a 642 all over the background, then we had a 110 all over the background, rubbed in. It was okay, but it would have been a disaster if you didn't know what you were doing. I thought, okay, now what I'm going to put next in is the mid-grey that you see there. Or it looks dark there, and it is actually a mid to dark grey, and that's the Caran d'Ache one. That went on top. That's good. That went on top of those other colours, and you see that it's completely hidden. The colours,
Yeah.
you can't see them now, but they were there. Now, the reason that works is because we've got the base is still there. In other words, that 642. What colour it's called? It's like a Moe ready. Oh, I don't know what colour it is anyway. Good job I go from colour numbers. But that colour you can still see. If you look at that background, you can see the influence of that colour on the background.
It's the colour is Caput Mortem Violet Light. So yeah, 642 is easier to say, isn't it?
It's quite a mouthful, isn't it? Well, that then I'd put the 770, which is that dark colour, on top of that. But I only did it. I did it kind of from the bottom and worked my way up. It doesn't appear right at the top. It's just of that example piece. So that was my experiment. I thought this is going to work. So
And
at this stage,
you can see the, I know I've zoomed in really close, but you can see the colour of the pencil here and the colour of the background. Like, I like that you've done that because you can see how the other two colours have influenced this colour on top.
absolutely, yes, that's absolutely. So at this stage, I was delighted with the way it was coming, and I thought this is going to work. At that stage, I thought, am I going to do this all over? Is it just going to be a plain background? Well, you know me, it's never quite as you think it's going to be.
Well, that's a
But
good segue to move on to the next stage, and that is this one here, stage 7. Have we got that up?
now you can see everything I was telling you about. That background looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it, with the picture? It works. If it hadn't worked, I'd have been in trouble, but it does work. Now, you could argue, well, why don't you leave that colour? And I could have done that, but I didn't want to do that. I knew that I could actually improve the appearance, and you can see as I've worked that background now up into the shoulder, and how nice it does look.
Yeah,
And again, that's the same colour all the way over.
yeah. Really interesting to see that colour against the fabric and just how you were going to make that fabric stand out without it being too stark against the picture. I really want to see the next stage now, which I think is the finished
It is, yes.
picture. Let's
Hold
find
on to your hats because it's going to blow you away, this one.
There it is. Look at that.
Now that is stunning, isn't it? You can see now everything I said. The hair stands away, the dress stands away, the young lady comes to all the glory. And would you now have settled for that dark background? Not really.
No.
But what I did here is on the right-hand side, you can see it's more blue. You've got the grey. I didn't want to put too much of the colour on there. A little bit, especially tucked between the hair and the dress, right on that right-hand side of the background, just where the hair meets the dress. And I put just a tiny bit of that 642 back in again. That's gone back into it. I haven't left it, it's gone back in. Just to give a little bit of light behind the head. And then the rest of it, I just do my usual blend. The corners would have been treated a little bit more with the 770, so you get that extra strength. But I was gobsmacked when I saw it.
It looks like a photo backdrop Like, it looks like a photograph. Like, you know how you have sometimes when you do it, if anyone's, been to photo shoots and stuff, you have the backdrops. It looks like a backdrop in terms of its shading and spots of color. It really is really interesting.
The other thing, if you can go into the hair again, we were talking about the hair before.
Mm.
Go in closer to that hair now. I was talking to you about it. It didn't have the life. It's got it now. Can you see that? I've
Yeah.
emphasized the dark and I've emphasized the light.
This area is lighter. This area is lighter. You got some light here,
but
little spots of light.
so that really capped it for me, and it's a stunning picture. It's whenever you do something like this, Steve, you think, how is my next picture going to measure up to this? I'm not doing another portrait for a while, but it's strange how the learning that you have. I was talking about inner confidence, where you have that confidence to be able to pull it off. And then you can start thinking about doing pictures that perhaps at one time you wouldn't have done. And I wouldn't have done this at one time, but I knew that I could, if you like, improve on the original photographic reference. And I'm sure if that original photographer could have used that kind of background, he would have done, because it complements the picture so well. So I was talking about the next picture. Well, the next picture I'm going to be doing, I've only made my mind up this morning to do it because I found it. And I thought, and at one time I would have passed it by. Oh, yeah, but I think that's a bit beyond me. Now, you have that inner confidence to know that you can pull it off. It's not that, are we going to show that or are we going to leave that to next week?
I think we'll leave people hanging till next week because this portrait's finished and it looks so amazing on screen, and I think we'll leave people to guess what you're talking about until next week.
I think that's a good idea, but just as a teaser, really, I looked at the picture itself and thought, well, how am I going to do that? Now, all of the experience I've had with backgrounds and applying colours to the different projects that I've done, I now know how I'm going to achieve the effects that I want on this new picture, and all of these experiences that I have go to make up the confidence to be able to tackle those. One of the things that I did notice there, you see the signature, that's in the same pink that's on the cheek.
Is it?
It's 131 in Faber.
Amazing that can go over the colours.
Pastel, Steve. I mean, I could have made it darker. It could have been a black. It could have been a white. But I would have spoiled it if I'd done that. I wanted it to be there. It has to be there if you're going to assign a picture. But I wanted it to be discreet.
I was going to say it is discreet there because I would have thought that the better place for it to be clearer would be down here.
Yep.
But it would be too obvious there. Is that what you're saying?
It would have spoiled the picture, in my opinion. I'd have. It had to be somewhere where, and on the video, I actually point this out. When it comes to me actually signing it, I say, well, no, I could have put it over here, but I prefer to put it over here because I wanted that to be as clear as it could be. So there you go.
Really interesting. Yeah, that's a really great point. I mean, wow, this has been so insightful, and I'm so pleased that we can show these stages. And I think that let's keep this up because I'm really enjoying seeing this and showing this stage by stage. So I hope everyone else is getting a lot from this as well because it really helps us to discuss this. I know if people are listening the traditional way of podcasts, I've tried to make it so that the pictures are on the podcast artwork, so that if you're listening on your phone or on a device, you can still see the pictures on your screen. Even though they might be a bit small. But you can always jump over to Facebook or YouTube and play the show and just have a little scan if we're chatting about it. But yeah, it's been so interesting. Thank you for sharing your journey with this picture. Obviously, it's filmed. It's going to be a class on the website. I'm currently editing the net curtain and vase, so I'm about halfway through that class.
All right.
So that's going to be the next class I'm going to put up because that was so different and offers so many techniques. So that will be the next one. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, that will be up. But then this class is added to the mix of all the other classes we've got to put on the site. But that's absolutely fine. They're all going to be coming. Don't you worry. And we'll chat about the next picture that's coming next week. We'll talk about that and show that, and maybe even a couple of stages as well. See how you're getting on.
That's great. I look forward to discussing that new one as well in stages, as you said. I'll make sure I take stages as I go along, and I think people can see better how and have a better understanding when they see a finished picture. Oh, it looks good, but how did you do it? How did you get there? What was the journey like? And this is a wonderful way of doing it.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Okay, well, if anyone has any questions, anything they want us to discuss, then please always get in touch with us. We're happy to talk about it. But for now, we will leave it there for this week. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for listening. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley. Enjoy your week.